if you look at this next generation who's coming to work, who've kind of grown up on the web, it's not a tool for them, it's kind of just the operating system for their lives. As these people go to work in organizations, whether it's in public sector, private sector, how is the experience of growing up online and on the web and using the new social media, how is that going to change the way they think about life in organizations? Who should make decisions? Whose ideas get heard? Where does power lie? I mean, do you see a generational shift coming?
Absolutely. I think probably the first thing that's going to hit is they're going to be very, very frustrated with organizational structures that make things hard that they know ought to be easy. And so we're going to see a real revolution in IT first, because of course, IT departments are very much control organizations. We saw a breakdown with the introduction of the personal computer, but the breakdown now is so much greater. When you can, for example, build something and host it on Amazon's data center, just by putting it on your expense account on your credit card, where there are all these great free tools that allow you to collaborate across organizational boundaries. You go, oh, okay, let's just set up a base camp and from 37 Signals, and we're away and going with cross-enterprise collaboration. And they say, what do you mean I can't use this? I've been using it. I'm using Google Docs because I could invite in people from our partner over there without having to go through any big complicated hoops. So I think that the use of collaboration technologies is probably going to be one of those first areas where they're just going to overthrow the traces. As Shakespeare once said, the hot blood leaps over the cold decree. I think they will also expect a certain kind of meritocracy because, of course, what you see on the net is that the people who rise to the top don't do it through, the piece of paper that they hold. And I go back to sort of open source software, for example. You don't say, well, what degree do you have? You say, well, what have you done? Show me your code. And this is a real performance-based culture on the net, where you can actually look at people's portfolio. You can look at their presentation of self in the context that you want to hire them in. You can see what they can do for you really quickly. And I think so that natural meritocracy is going to change. People are going to rise by being sort of outspoken and active other than through the normal channels. And a good organization will recognize that. They'll say, whoa, yeah, this person is doing a great job responding to customers on Twitter, whatever. Let's pay attention to them. Or they're doing a fabulous job evangelizing our product. Or they're doing a great job coordinating with mid-level people at our partners, or because they're just better at it. I think we're also going to see some real shifts in how employees think of themselves as belonging to an organization. Because the internet makes it possible for us to create multiple affiliations. And sometimes those affiliations will be stronger than they are to the parent company. And a really interesting story in this regard came to me from an unlikely source. I'm working with a group called the Center for Hellenic Studies, which is a Paul Mellon-funded branch of Harvard University that's about classical studies, postgraduate institution. And they're hosting a project called synoikesis, which is a mouthful, but it's a Greek word for living together. And synoikesis is a project of about 25 odd small colleges, each of which had a single classics professor. And they realized, well, if you're a single classics professor at a small college, all you ever get to teach is introductory Latin and Greek. So they said, let's get together using internet technologies and teleconferencing and so on, and we'll make a big virtual classics department. It's now actually, I think it's the second largest in the country. And they basically teach over the net for each other. So I go, I'll teach Theocritus, you teach Homer, And it's changed the way that they work, because all of a sudden these professors from different institutions are collaborating. And then they started getting grants for this new horizontal organization. And the deans of the schools were like, whoa, well, where's our piece of that? Yeah. And of course, they didn't get a piece of it because it was sort of this new organization that somehow had grown up across the old institutions. And I see that, in the kind of events that I put together. When I publish a book, I'm creating a virtual team of people who are working, the tech reviewers, the authors, the customers who are participating. They start to have an affiliation that is not directly with my company necessarily. Or when I put together a conference, I'm organizing a community, and that community exists beyond and in addition to strictly what my company controls. So I think we're going to start to find a lot more porosity in the organization and a lot more kinds of organizations that interpenetrate each other.